Title: Final day of my tour. A voicemail from my daughter. My daughter's voice trembled through the phone. Dad, Mom's new husband, he's a police officer, and he's holding us all at gunpoint. He says when you get home, he'll force me to handcuff you before he takes you out. I vowed to end him. Then her sobs broke through, raw and desperate. He forced me. He made me destroy all your photos. I caught the first flight out. My Black Ops instincts surged to life. No one makes my daughter weep and walks away unscathed. Chapter 1. The voicemail. The desert sun had scorched my skin for months, but that final day of my deployment carried a different weight. My gear was stowed, my rifle cleaned and secured. All that remained was the flight back home, a moment I'd replayed in my mind through countless sleepless nights. Checking my phone, I saw her name, Emily, my little girl. The voicemail began with her frantic breaths, then her fragile, breaking voice. Dad, Mom's new husband is a cop. He's got us all at gunpoint. He says when you get here, he'll make me cuff you before he puts you down. I froze mid-step. The hum of the bass dissolved into white noise. My grip on the phone tightened until my knuckles ached. Then her sobs came again, shattering. He forced me. He made me burn all your pictures. My breath turned to frost in my chest. My vision narrowed to a pinpoint. She wasn't just frightened. She was broken. I knew exactly the kind of monster who'd do that to a child. I ended the call and dialed her number. No response. Again. Nothing. I didn't bother checking in with my commanding officer. Slinging my rucksack over my shoulder, I headed for transport. Commercial flights could wait. I'd secure a seat on the first plane out. I wasn't returning just as a father, but as a man forged in covert ops, trained for missions the government never acknowledged. And no one makes my daughter cry and lives to boast about it. Chapter 2. The flight home and recon. The military transport was frigid and noisy, the kind of roar that could smother your thoughts if you let it. But my mind was razor sharp, running through contingencies like I was back in a mission briefing. Rule 1. Never enter a situation blind. Rule 2. Strike swiftly, strike precisely, and leave no threat standing. By the time the plane touched down on U.S. soil, I'd acquired a burner phone from an old contact who owed me big. My next call was to Detective Harris, a cop I'd pulled out of a bad spot during an overseas op gone wrong. He didn't pry. When I shared the voicemail, he went silent, then said, "If your ex's new man is who I suspect, you're in deep. He's crooked, but he's got protection. Word is he runs side gigs, extortion, debt collection, maybe worse. If he's got your kid, you need to move now." I was already ahead of him. "Send me everything," I said. Within an hour, my encrypted inbox was loaded. Addresses, known contacts, routines, even his favorite bar. Between the lines, one key detail stood out. He wasn't on duty for the next 3 nights. Anything that went down wouldn't be on the books. I checked into a dive motel 2 towns over, a place he'd never think to search. There, I began crafting my plan. This wasn't just about rescuing Emily. It was about delivering a message, one he'd never erase from his mind, and one that would ensure no one like him ever dared approach her again. Then, late that night, my burner vibrated with a single text from Emily. "Dad, he's asleep. I can't talk. Please hurry." My jaw clenched as I stared at the screen. She'd given me my window. Tomorrow night, I'd step into his domain. When I left, he'd have nothing left to stand on. Chapter 3. Infiltration night. The streets were silent, heavy with the calm that precedes chaos. I parked 3 blocks from the house, my gear tucked into a nondescript black duffel. Nothing flashy, just essentials. I moved through the neighborhood like a ghost, gliding past fences and under shrubs until I stood across from their 2-story suburban home. All lights were off, except one, Emily's room. My pulse steadied. That was my beacon. Harris's intel included blueprints. Front door to a hallway, living room to the left, stairs straight ahead, kitchen in the rear. 3 exits, 2 cameras, 1 poorly placed floodlight I'd disabled earlier. I scaled the side fence and slipped into the backyard. Through the glass sliding door, I saw him, slumped on the couch, the TV casting shadows over his face. His service pistol lay on the coffee table beside a half-empty bottle of whiskey. Drunk. Cocky. Perfect. I eased the door open just enough to slip inside, my steps silent on the carpet. My boots barely grazed the fibers. I was halfway across the room when his phone buzzed, and my heart skipped for a split second. He stirred, muttered, then resumed snoring. I reached the stairs. Emily's door was shut, a faint glow seeping from beneath. I tapped softly, the way I used to when tucking her in. She opened it a crack, her eyes wide, then brimming with tears when she saw me. "Dad," she whispered. I pressed a finger to my lips. "Chill. We're getting out." She grabbed a small backpack, already packed. That hit me like a punch. She'd been prepared. We were halfway down the stairs when his voice sliced through the darkness. "Well, look who showed up." He stood, gun in hand, a smug grin plastered on his face. "You think you can just stroll in and take what's mine?" Emily pressed closer to me. My voice stayed even. "She's not yours." He laughed. "She will be, once the courts see who's the real man here." He raised the gun. That's when my training took over. Chapter 4. The takedown time slowed, as it always did in high-stakes ops. My eyes locked on his gun's barrel, calculating distance, angle, and speed. He shifted his weight to his right leg, a beginner's error. I acted. My left hand pulled Emily behind the stairwell as my right shot forward, knocking his gun hand upward. A shot rang out, shattering the ceiling light, glass shards cascading down. His smug grin vanished, replaced by shock. Before he could react, I drove my forearm into his throat, slamming him against the wall with a dull thud. The whiskey bottle crashed to the floor, its sharp scent filling the air. He swung wildly, but I pinned his arm, twisted, and his gun skidded across the floor. A quick kick sent it under the couch. "You don't aim a weapon at my daughter," I growled, my voice low and lethal. He spat blood, glaring. "You think you can just—" My knee to his stomach cut him off. He gasped, crumpling to his knees. "Dad," Emily's voice quavered. "Let's go," I said, nodding. This wasn't just about escape. It was about ensuring he'd never threaten her again. From my duffel, I pulled zip ties, securing his wrists tightly enough to make him grimace, then bound his ankles. "Someone will find you," I said coldly, "but not before you've had time to reflect on every decision that led you here." Before leaving, I placed his badge and gun in a sealed evidence bag on the kitchen counter, along with a note, *Internal Affairs. Check the basement, *. Emily's eyes widened. "What's in the basement?" I shook my head. "Nothing we need to know about." We slipped out the back, vanishing into the night as a distant siren began to wail. Not for me, for him. By morning, the news would erupt. Chapter 5. The aftermath. At dawn, I sat across from Emily in a quiet diner 2 towns away. She clutched a mug of hot chocolate like it was her anchor. I didn't press her to speak, just watched as color slowly returned to her face. My phone buzzed relentlessly. A text from a state police contact read, "You didn't hear it from me, but your daughter's stepdad was just nabbed by Internal Affairs." Another message, from an unknown number, was a shaky voice note from my ex-wife, her voice frantic. "They arrested him. They're tearing the house apart. The basement, everything. I swear I didn't know. Call me back." She didn't know? Sure. I'd left the evidence bag for a reason. His badge, his gun, and a flash drive. Not mine. His. It contained videos, financial records, and messages detailing his crimes against suspects, colleagues, and those he thought no one would care about. The police acted fast. His name was scrubbed from the department by noon. By evening, his mugshot was plastered across every news outlet, labeled "Disgraced Cop, Faces Multiple Felony Charges." But the real kicker? They uncovered a network, corrupt officers, shady deals, and extortion rackets. My ex-wife's name surfaced in the financial trails. Emily watched me scroll through the headlines, her eyes wide. "Dad, are we safe now?" I met her gaze, my jaw tight. Safer than we've been in years. That night, I made one final call, not to the police or my ex, but to a buddy from my unit, someone who knew how to make people vanish from your life without violence. "Make sure she stays away from Emily," I said. He didn't ask for details, just said, "It's handled." By morning, my ex-wife had been served a court order. Full custody to me, no visitation for her, and her accounts frozen pending investigation. That night, Emily slept in her own bed, clutching her favorite stuffed animal. As she drifted off, she whispered, "You came for me." I brushed her hair back, smiling. "Always." She knew now. Hurt my daughter, and you don't just lose, you lose everything. Epilogue. The final glance 3 months later, life felt almost ordinary again. Emily was back in school, giggling with friends, free from nightmares. I'd taken a low-key consulting gig, working from home to be there for her. One Saturday, we were strolling through the mall, arms loaded with shopping bags and pretzels, when a familiar voice stopped us. Emily. We turned. My ex-wife stood there, pale, disheveled, a shadow of the polished woman she once was. Her hoodie was faded, her eyes skittish, like a trapped animal. Emily instinctively stepped closer to me, her hand tightening in mine. I just want to talk, my ex stammered. About what? My tone was flat. Before she could answer, 2 mall security guards passed by. One glanced at her, smirking. Hey, aren't you that woman from the news? The other chuckled. Yeah, the one tied to that dirty cop's crime ring. Her face flushed red. Shoppers slowed, whispering, one pulling out a phone to record. I said nothing, just nodded to Emily toward the exit. We walked away, leaving her frozen under the weight of curious stares, trapped in the wreckage of her own ruined name. Outside, in the cool air, Emily looked up with a grin. She looked smaller. She is, I said. People shrink when their lies unravel. We kept walking, no glances back, no second guesses. Her world was gone. Ours was just starting. Was this vengeance fully warranted? Share your thoughts on this tale in the comments below. If you believe this justice was deserved, like the story, share it with someone who'd vibe with its intensity, and follow Lauren's stories for more gripping tales of betrayal and reckoning. Because here, every deception meets its consequences, and every betrayal casts a long shadow. Stay vigilant, stay fierce, and stay tuned.